night, a Sunday night victory for Rutgers men's basketball, defeating USC 95-85 in what has to be the most efficient offensive performance of the season. Just waiting for some of the numbers to drop, but 1.4 points per possession. I mean, they shot 56% from the floor, 55.6% to be exact, 45% flat from three, 9 of 20, 92.9% from the foul line, 26 of 28. Listen, it's depressing as hell that we're talking about Rutgers now getting back to 500 for the season, getting 2 wins above the cut line for the Big Ten tournament. It really hurts, but it was great to see them take charge of this game. Of course, they had to make it interesting down the stretch. They were up 15 points. USC goes on like a 10-0 run, made us bite our nails a bit. J. Mike, really impressive game for him. 8 of 8 from the line, 6 of 6 in that final minute or whatever that was. And Rutgers secures a 10-point victory. And maybe you're just thinking that if there's ever going to be a run from this team, if there's ever going to be a run, they win now their last 2 games. A character win at Washington, not a good team. Needed overtime to do it. Almost lost that game. But after getting thumped and really a disheartening loss against Oregon, 18-point loss, 3 disheartening losses in a row, and then they delivered these last 2 wins. Manuel Ebole is now back. You know, there's a lot of Facebook conspiracy out there. I mean, it's not complicated, people. The initial diagnosis, the actual diagnosis was not as severe as the initial diagnosis that declared him out for the year. And his recovery time was then less. He's obviously been practicing. Just because you hear about it 3 hours before the game doesn't mean it came out of nowhere. You know, people have to understand perception versus what's being reported versus reality is different. And it's not like he came to Pikel's office before the game. Hey, you know what? I'm going to take off my brace. I'm going to play tonight. That's not how it works. You get medically cleared. He's practiced for a while. I've been hearing rumblings that he might make it back. And he didn't play a lot tonight. But to have him back, you know, he played 2 minutes. He hustled. He dove for a loose ball. Be interesting to see how much he can give them. But this team just epitomizes. They can look really bad at times. And defensively, they were bad tonight. I mean, USC, 85 points. 51.5% from the floor, 46.7% from 3. They did force a lot of USC turnovers. USC averaging just 11, had 11 at the half, 16 for the game. Rutgers was able to take advantage of that, 22 points off of 16 turnovers. Rutgers did have 13 of their own. USC took advantage, 20 off of that. Rutgers lost the boards, -7. You know, USC had a 20-point edge in points in the paint. But Rutgers dominated in transition, 26-13 edge there. They had 8 blocks, 10 steals, 16 assists on 30 makes. They were much more fluid offensively. They had scoring balance. This was kind of a game that you kind of expected before the season how they won, that they're going to have to outscore teams. We haven't seen a lot of this in terms of Rutgers dominating offensively. And this is the first USC loss of the season when they scored 77 or more points. Now 12-1 on the year. Cited by Dave Semmes at the end of that telecast. And Rutgers getting a win here, now 2 in a row. So now they go to Michigan and Purdue back-to-back on the road. Not as daunting as it seemed 3 weeks ago. Rutgers lost to Michigan at home by 3 points. They outplayed them. One of their worst shooting performances of the season. They did it without Harper, without Ebole. Dusty May was able to double, triple team Ace Bailey. Not going to be able to do that this time with Dylan Harper there. It's a different game. Michigan coming off a loss at home to Michigan State on Friday. Just want to see if they play a game before Rutgers meets them. Yeah, they're at Nebraska on Monday. Not an easy environment. KenPom projects them to win by 1. They are half a game behind Michigan State for the lead in the Big Ten. But Rutgers is going to have an extra day of rest on Michigan. They go to Michigan I guess on Thursday, this would be, right? Let me just make sure of that on the schedule. Yeah, Thursday night at Michigan. That's going to be a big time road opportunity, quad 1 opportunity for Rutgers. listen, they're not anywhere near the bubble. But my point is, if this team is going to make a dream run in the Big Ten tournament, it's not just going to happen stumbling into the Big Ten tournament. You have to build some synergy here. You have to build some momentum. You have to go in with flow offensively. And Rutgers has a chance here. If they can steal one on the road against Michigan or Purdue and then beat Minnesota on senior day, last game of the regular season at the RAC, you're going to close out 4 or 5 of the regular season. You're going to have some momentum going to the Big Ten tournament, and you're not going to be in 15th place. You're probably going to be more like 12th. So something could be brewing here. I know people think I'm crazy, but at least they're showing something here down the stretch. Dylan Harper was fantastic in this game. 25 points, 9 assists, 9 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from 2. He did have 5 turnovers, but overall, I mean, he was fantastic. And when Dylan Harper plays at an elite level, Rutgers has a chance against anyone. Then you had Ace Bailey. Not a ton of shots in this game for him. USC held him in check in that first half, but he finished with 14, 5 of 12 from the floor. Did make 2 threes in that second half. Made 1 in the first half, 2 of 2 from the line. Just 3 rebounds, but did have 3 assists, 1 turnover, 2 blocks. 38 minutes, was very active, had second best plus 13 for this team. J. Mike, best on the team, plus 14 in just 15 minutes. Made a big impact, had 13 points off the bench. I said 8 of 8 from the line, 1 of 1 from 3, 2 of 5 from the floor, had 3 rebounds and assists, no turnovers. He's playing smarter, had a block and 2 steals. Listen, he brings the energy to this team on the defensive end. If you can play smart on the offensive end, he is a guy that, listen, I've been down on most of the year. Last 6-7 games now, he's improving. He's showing real signs of development here at the end of his sophomore year. You had also Somerville had 0 in the first half, 10 points in the second half. I thought it was really important. Rutgers showing some intentionality on offense to start the second half. Dylan Harper finding Somerville twice on the first 2 possessions, got him going. 10 points in that second half. Made those 2 shots from the floor, then was 6 of 6 from the line. He's been sensational from the line, especially as a big man this year, just in terms of his performance. He is from the line this year, 84.2%, 164th best in the country, 64-76. Fantastic stuff from him. His block rate's really high now, too. Let's see if that Rutgers win posted now on KenPom. It did. So they bumped up now to 77th 74th on KenPom. They were 77th coming in. USC 60 coming into the game. Let's see in terms of efficiency. Like I said, that's got to be their most efficient. It is by a long shot. Don't count the Monmouth game, but in terms of power for games, Big Ten games, 134.8% KenPom offensive efficiency, number 1 for the season. Defensive efficiency, not good at all. 20th of the season in terms of rankings, 120.6, not good. So it does preclude them from moving up too much KenPom wise, but offensively, they're 54th nationally, but 114th defensively. Let's see what the rank is in the Big Ten now, jumping up to 10th in Big Ten play and offensive efficiency, but defense 14th. But Rutgers showing some signs here. Let's see who else. Like I said, they had 5 guys in double figures in this game. You also had Tyson Acuff, strong performance off the bench, 18 points, was 1 of 3 from 3, but 3 of 4 from the line, 3 of 5 from the floor, had 2 rebounds, did have an assist, 1 turnover. But Acuff, listen, he just provides stability. And then Jeremiah Williams, just 7 points in this game. Scored early, though. 2 big baskets that kind of got them going. He has been fouling a lot, but had a block and a steal, a couple boards. Not, great stuff from him, but solid. And then Bryce Dortch, can't say enough about him. He brought them real energy off the bench. 4 of 4 from the floor, 2 rebounds, did foul a lot, 2 blocks and a steal. But 14 minutes, he was super productive. Give Steve Peichel credit for giving him some run when I kind of thought it didn't make sense. Dortch really responded. Martini got a 3 at 5 points off the bench. But you had 25 from Harper, 14 from Ace, 13 from J. Mike, 10 apiece from Somerville and Acuff, 9 from Dortch, 7 from J. Well, that's really balanced scoring. Gets you to 95, but 9 of 20 from 3 for this team, led by Dylan and Ace, both shooting 50%. That was really impressive. And I mean, from the foul line, 26 of 28, 92.9%. You had Somerville 6 of 6, J. Mike 8 of 8, Harper was 3 of 3, Ace 2 of 2, J. Will 3 of 4, Acuff 3 of 4, Bryce Dortch 1 of 1. Can we see for Rutgers in terms of their foul shooting, was that the best of the season? Has to be. Would be shocked if it wasn't. Free throw rate was 51.9%. Rutgers been getting to the foul line a ton the last 2 games, 64.9% against Washington, 51.9% against USC. They get to the foul line a lot and take advantage. That's a huge thing for this team. Not seeing the free throw shooting there. But overall, let's see, against Washington, what were they? I think they were just 70%. But they're getting to the line a ton. That is going to be key. Obviously, not get the home whistle against Michigan. Michigan has that size up front. Wolf and Golden. If Ogbole can get them some minutes, that would help. But Rutgers is going to, Michigan's going to have to defend Rutgers differently. Ace is due. He really hasn't gone off lately. I really think he's due. He's, since, he had a 37-point game against Northwestern. He struggled against Michigan. He did have 18 in a relatively efficient manner against that win against Illinois. Just 4 against Maryland when he was sick or dealing with something. Iowa just 13. Just 8 against Oregon, and now 18 and 14 back-to-back. He hasn't gone off in a while, and he tends to go off on the road, and Michigan frustrated the hell out of him in that first game. So, listen, all I'm saying is Rutgers is giving themselves a chance here to build some serious momentum going to the Big Ten tournament. If you beat Minnesota at home, you clinch the Big Ten tournament, I would think, just in terms of where they're at right now. They are tied with Ohio State. Obviously, they don't have the tiebreaker in Ohio State. So they are 12th place right now, sitting at 7-10. You are 2 wins above the cut line. Northwestern and Penn State have 5 wins. Washington has 4. Then you have Minnesota, Iowa, USC with 6. Rutgers and Ohio State with 7, along with Indiana and Nebraska, who have 1 less loss. I mean, Rutgers could still finish in the top 10 here of the Big Ten. If you could somehow win out, right? Listen, you win out, you win 3 in the Big Ten tournament, they're going to be in the conversation. They are going to be in the conversation. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go. Their defense is pretty bad, especially interior defense. It's not good. But listen, offensively, maybe they're starting to click here. We know if Dylan Harper is the elite Dylan Harper that he can be, they have a chance against anyone. For what this season has been, you have to take the victories where you can, and it's at least good to see this team respond. I was very concerned after that Iowa loss that this team was done and that they weren't going to respond at all. And they have responded, even though they had that Oregon loss that was extremely disheartening. They've responded now with 2 back-to-back wins. And the 2, in my opinion, 2 worst losses of the season. They now have they've responded with 2 victories. So that is encouraging. That's Steve Peichel not losing this team. I thought the adjustments they made on just going into in terms of the second half. I mean, Claude, we knew coming in is a great player for USC at 30 points. But Yates, he was the one at 16 in the first half, just 7 in the second half. They really frustrated him in the second half. Thought that was key. Josh Cohen, the big man who Rutgers has been interested over the years, just 6 points for him. Like I said, USC winning that rebounding battle, but getting out in transition, they really frustrated USC. They were able to in terms of getting those steals, those blocks, creating an offense off of their defense, even though they weren't efficient in stopping USC. That was important. And overall, I mean, Rutgers, they were 10 of 13 layups and dunks. They were 9 of 20 in terms of 3. So what does that make them? That makes them 11 of 21 from the floor mid-range. This was as good of an offensive performance as you've seen from this team. So what do they have left? What are they going to be able to do? Can they steal a win? Michigan, Purdue back-to-back. It's going to be very difficult. But this team is at least showing you something and not just going down without fighting. And they have a little, they're playing Thursday night at Michigan, and they play Tuesday night at Purdue, come home Sunday for Minnesota, the regular season. The last 2 weeks here, they have just 3 games. So that's giving them a little bit of rest compared to other teams. Like I said, Michigan playing Monday night on the road at Nebraska, not an easy game for them. So hope, however small, still alive. Happy to see this team perform and come through with another victory, 7-10 in the Big Ten, 14-14 overall. Again, in the context of where we hope they be, this is not where we hope they be. This is still upsetting, no doubt, but there's a slimmer of hope still here. And if they can go to Michigan and get a big time win, then they have a real chance. But even if they win at Purdue, got to beat Minnesota, of course. Worst case, they lose both road games close. You win Minnesota, you win 3 of 5, and you go into Big Ten with a little bit of momentum. But a road win in these next 2 would give them a lot of momentum and some buzz going into the Big Ten tournament. Again, the goal is not just to make the Big Ten tournament. Listen, they finished 10th, 11th. You don't want to be lined up to play the 1 or 2 seed in that quarterfinal. And if you're not, although I'd love to see them play Michigan State again, I'm not going to lie. I really want them to play Michigan State again. Anything can happen. It's still a wide open league. So if they're in the right mindset, what I really loved, by the way, at the end of this game, when J. Mike was going to the line for the last time, 10 seconds to go or whatever it was, Rutgers was up 8. They were clearly winning the game at that point. They huddled up. They huddled up on the floor. Bailey, Harper, Jaywell, Davis. I forget who the 5th guy on the floor was, but I love that. I thought that showed their connectedness. It showed they weren't taking it for granted. It showed a little bit of savvy, right? This team is not taking it for granted. And those little things you see along the way, with certain players starting to develop, with some smarts starting to develop in terms of how they implemented the offense, there's signs. There's signs this team's getting better. They have to prove it. They're running out of time. But a Sunday night victory will take. Thanks so much for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast.